are absolutely listening to the George Espenlaub Show, coming to you live from the Funny Farm. Now, with no further ado, here comes Georgie!
I'm excited tonight. And it sounds like you are too. My, oh my, oh my. There is nothing better than Friday night at the Funny Farm in a place called Our World. And ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, got my tongue twisted around my eye and couldn't see what I was hearing. Anyhow, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends, Romans, and countrymen, whether you're down the street, around the corner, across America, or somewhere around the world, we welcome you to the George Espenlaub Show. And yep, we're live. And you get a chance to listen to all the bloopers and all the burps and the blemishes and anything that can go wrong on live radio. Trust me, it can go wrong on the George Espenlaub Show. We have had some tremendous bloopers over the years, but now we laugh about them. When they were happening, it wasn't so bad or wasn't so funny. But we want you to sit back tonight because we have a great, great radio show planned for you. And we have a wonderful guest. I think you're going to enjoy her very, very much. A lady that has paid her dues, certainly paid her dues in her industry. And we're so delighted to have her with us. But before we go to our guest, let me remind you that tonight the radio show is being sponsored by Unicorn Chasing with Maxine and Walter. Yep, Unicorn Chasing, that's Chasin. Unicorn Chasing with Maxine and Walter. Look them up on Facebook. Just put Unicorn Chasing with Maxine and Walter up there in that little search box. It'll take you to their business page. And if you've never been to a ring bomb party, you're missing something. You just go to Unicorn Chasing with Maxine and Walter, and you'll be delighted that you got there. And I'll guarantee that you'll learn what a ring bomb party is, and you will just be so anxious to jump in there and join in and comment and laugh and carry on, because them two people, I'm telling you, they're not ordinary people. So you look them up. Visit with them. Unicorn Chasing with Maxine and Walter. You'll be glad you did, and I know they'll be glad that you came. So, I guess with no further ado, we're going to bring our guest on. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends, Romans, and countrymen, lend me both of your ears, because we have with us in the chair tonight, here at the Funny Farm, a lady that perhaps you don't know right away, but you will know, and you'll say, oh, yes, I know that lady. Ladies and gentlemen, Selina Majors. Selina, welcome to the George Espenlaub Show.
Thank you so much for having me here. I appreciate the introduction. And a lot of people, if they don't know me by that name, Selina Majors, because that's my real name, they might know me as another name. Back in the 80s, I wrestled for many years under the name Bambi, and that might jog a memory or two. I know a lot of people, they go, Selina Majors, but I wrestled for so long as Bambi. I guess they just knew me as Bambi rather than my real name. So, but thanks for having me on your show.
I called my nephew up in Pennsylvania. I'm in Delaware, so I called my nephew up in Pennsylvania late this afternoon, and I said, hey, Travis, listen to me. We're going to have Selina Majors on tonight, so I want you to spread the word. And he said, who? I said, Bambi. And he said, oh, yeah. So, that rang a bell with him, Selina.
Oh, yeah. My friend David McLean, who does the Wow Women of Wrestling, funny story. I always tell him about all the wrestlers that I'm friends with, and the Rock and Roll Express Ricky Morton and Robert Gibson. He was somewhere with them, and he was telling them, yeah, my head trainer is Selina Majors, and David was bragging on me, and they're like, oh, we don't know her. And then finally it dawned on someone to say Bambi, and they're like, oh, yes, we know Bambi. We've known her for 30 years, so it's kind of funny. But anyways, thanks for having me on the show. It's a pleasure to be on your show.
It's a privilege to have you, and we're honored by your presence. Thank you so very, very much. Tell us, how did you get started in wrestling? I mean, as a young girl, is that how it happened?
Well, I tell you, my dad, I give the credit to him. He wanted to be a professional wrestler, and this was back in the 70s. I'm 53 years old, so this was back when I was probably, 5, 6 years old. He used to take me to the wrestling matches, and we went all the time, and he wanted to be a wrestler so much, and it was really hard back in that era to even, get any kind of training or get into the sport. It was very closed closet sport, and you couldn't really get into it unless you had some kind of connection. But he would take me to the matches, and I guess it was when I was about 10 years old, I seen my first women's match. And that night on the way home, usually I was a chatterbox talking about all the great excitement. And that night I was really quiet. And he was like, what are you thinking about? And I told him, I said, I think I want to do that. And he laughed, and it became a joke amongst the family and at school. And in my yearbook, everyone would write, you're going to be world champ one day. And I think everyone thought I would probably just outgrow it. But I guess ever since the age of 10, I just knew this was for me, and I fell in love with it. It did something for me as a fan sitting out there, and then when I was able to step into the ring and actually, get in there and wrestle, it was like nothing I've ever experienced, and I feel so thankful and blessed that, to me, I feel like wrestling saved my life. I went through a lot of struggles like everyone does, and I always say if it wasn't for God and if it wasn't for professional wrestling, I might not be here. And so I'm really thankful to be in it. So I give my dad the credit, but the lady that actually opened the door and introduced me was Joyce Grable. She went to the Fabulous Moolah's Wrestling School, and I never went there. I dreamed about going there, but never had the opportunity. But Joyce Grable, she was a great trainer. She went to Moolah's for many years. She wrestled under the guidance of her for, over 30 years. She was in the WWF, it was called at that time, and she held many titles, and I feel a privilege and honor that she was the one that trained me and introduced me and broke me in the business.
When you first, how did you train when you first started? I mean, who trained you, and how did you get started in training, and then how did you even break into the business?
Well, it first started, I was at a gym in Norcross, Georgia, and there was a wrestler by the name of Dale Veazey, and he wrestled as the Hunter. And we got to know each other, and I guess it was no secret from my love of wrestling, and I went every chance I got. And so, he asked me, he said, well, at that time, this is the early 80s, and this is when there wasn't a whole lot of women in wrestling. There was a few women wrestlers, but at that time, a lot of ballets. There was Baby Doll, The Perfect 10, and Precious, and Miss Elizabeth, and there was beginning to be a lot of managers, and so he had asked me, how about doing that? And I was willing to just do anything to get my foot in the door, and so I tried that for a little bit, but I felt much like a cheerleader, and I wanted to be the one in the ring, not the one outside the ring. And so he actually moved on. He went to the Memphis territory and wrestled with Jerry Lawler, and I stayed back. And Joyce Grable had been on one of the shows with me, and I had told her how much I wanted to be in it, but not so much just out at the ring with the men wrestlers. I wanted to actually be in the ring wrestling. And so I went down to her house in LaGrange, Georgia. It's close to Columbus, Georgia. And she had a ring in her backyard. And she said, well, come on down and I'll train you right here in my backyard. And we trained enough to get me my first match. And after that, the rest is history. I did a lot of my learning in the ring with such greats as Judy Martin, Leilani Kai, Medusa, Peggy Lee, Heidi Lee Morgan, Candy Devine, a lot of terrific ladies during the 80s and 90s era that I learned a lot from just by getting into the ring with them. And so we went from there to fast forward to David McLean and Wow Women of Wrestling at 20 years ago. And he called me up, and we had met earlier at an all-women's promotion up in Chicago. And he and I are so similar with our backgrounds of going to wrestling as, in our youth and just loving it so much. And he invited me to come, be one of the trainers. And so I've been with him ever since. And we've had a long-standing friendship and career. And now I'm with Wow Women of Wrestling. And my job has transformed from being a wrestler in the ring to a coach and to a lot of stuff outside the ring and behind the scenes. But I still feel so blessed that, like I said earlier, at 53 years old, to still be living my dream and being in the professional wrestling industry. I feel so blessed every day. I'm just like, wow, it's amazing what you can do if you set your mind to it.
Now it's the women of wrestling. Wow. I like that. Wow. How did that come about? And this is what, the second season for it?
Yeah, but we've been going for a long time. I mean, we first created it over 20 years ago in the year 2000, and we were in syndicated television at the time, and everything was really great. And at that time, the wrestling industry shifted a little bit, and with 9/11, things changed with the syndication television, and we still kept going. We did a lot of touring and some house shows, and then we came back around. We were on digital. You could stream it on the internet, and now we're back on Access Television. And so this is the second season on Access, and the first season was so great. We were on Friday nights, and they changed us to Saturday night prime time. And I'm thrilled that they gave us that opportunity and the platform. And Jenny Buss for believing in us, and David McLean for sticking with us for so long and believing in women's wrestling. I mean, we went from, I tell people all the time, when I was a kid, you never seen women wrestling. And then when I got into the wrestling business around 1986, they would book us, but we were more of a sideshow. They would say ladies match or midgets match. Sometimes you wouldn't even get your name on the poster. And then now it went from that to all the struggles of getting through the lingerie matches and the jello matches and all the ridicule that some of the bigger promotions put the women through to just try to prove ourselves. So now we are a 1 hour, all women's athletic, and we've got some of the best talent all over the world. We've traveled a lot. We've scouted. We've got a lot of girls that come homegrown right from the Long Beach Training Center. But then we also travel around the world and try to get the best wrestlers that's available to wrestle for us too. And I'm proud of all the girls. We've got a lot of great superheroes. And if you haven't watched it yet, please tune in on Saturday nights on Access Television, 8 o'clock East Coast, 5 o'clock West Coast. And let us know. Go to our social media, WOWE.com. Let us know what you think. Let us know if you like it. Tell us what you like. Tell us what you don't like. We'd love to hear from all the fans.
I was on the website this afternoon, scrolling around. Interesting. When I was growing up, I'm 2 days older than dirt, but when I was growing up, we used to go, and I was originally from Altoona, Pennsylvania. We would go to the Jaffa Mosque. That was the big center where the wrestling would come. Bruno Sammartino was the champion, and Johnny DeFazio, and so on and so on. But you're right. The Little People was a sideshow, and I can't remember if, of course, that was back in the early '60s. I can't remember if I saw any women at the wrestling matches that I went to at the time. But you guys, or you girls, you have really paid the price, and you have really blazed a path, haven't you?
Well, we worked hard. I know we worked really hard. And, I mean, we finally made it, and then we're still trying to make progress, even today. But you're right, it wasn't an easy journey. I think that's maybe why, when I was 10 years old, everyone looked at me like, are you sure you want to do this? Because it was a hard business, a hard sport to get in. It was mostly a men's sport. I know I get told now, it's not politically correct to say the girl wrestlers or the midget wrestlers, but that's what they would call us. And sometimes I've got posters and have a little, workout room, and I've got posters hanging up. And sometimes it would just say girls, girls, girls match, or midget wrestlers. And, we went from that to going into the Coliseum and not being welcomed into the dressing room and having to get the janitor or broom closet or wherever to change clothes because we weren't really accepted. And the promoters would try to make money as using the girls as eye candy, or they would put them in, we all know the lingerie matches and the gravy matches and all the different storylines that almost, I don't know, I felt like it exploited and maybe treated the women in a bad light. But in the meantime, a lot of the girls, we love it. We had passion about it, so we just kept doing our thing. We kept on keep on keeping on. And now, finally, all these years later, I feel, like I said before, to still be a part of it and to have my footprint and know that the hard work and the purpose, just going through all that for others so it can be easier for them. I feel honored. I feel privileged. I'm glad we finally made it. We had to work harder on the card because a lot of the men wrestlers didn't want us on there. It was a spot taken away from them. And so it's been a long, hard journey. I'm not going here to whine and complain about it, but I just don't think a lot of people understand that, especially the new generation. They look at it and they see how the girls have it nowadays, and they don't understand the long journey behind it and the history behind it. So it was a lot of hard work, but it paid off in every single way. And I feel thankful that I'm a coach for the new generation to try to instill some of this history into them, to make them aware of what it took, that it didn't come so easy, and for them to, to show the respect and keep it going and keep the good image and the good path going for the ones to come in the future.
Selina, I'm sitting here listening to you, and I'm just awestricken, amazed, because you have so much excitement. I can feel your passion after all these years being in this industry, and going through the things that you went through, and so on and so forth. But yet you've got this rockin' passion that's just emanating out of you. This excitement. Wow, that tells me that we can listen to your heartbeat. We hear your heartbeat, because it seems to me that you're just as excited about this thing today as perhaps you was 15, 20 years ago.
I am. I tell you something I tell all the girls when they come to the tryouts at the school. I didn't go to Moolah school, but she did tell me one thing, and I try to pass it along to the new girls. And she told me, she said, the only way you'll ever make it in this business is you got to love it. And she goes, you got to love it more than anything. You got to eat it, breathe it, sleep it, and put it first. And if you love it more than anything, you'll make it in this business. Now, I always tell everybody that because they say, well, what do you look for when a girl comes to a tryout? Is it her athleticism? Is it her looks? Is it her attitude? No, it's a passion because you can't buy that. You can't manufacture that. You can't even teach that. It just comes within. And if you have it, you have it. And I got to say, I might not have been the greatest wrestler ever, but boy, did I love it. And that comes from my dad taking me as a kid and me sitting on the front row and just being captivated by it. And I never lost that passion. And when I'm in the ring, or when I was in the ring, I don't get in there too much anymore, but it's a thrill like no other. But when I'm in the ring with the new girls, teaching them and training them, I try to pass that on. And I always tell them right before they go out to the ring, don't forget, have fun. So I just, you're right. I hope you can hear the love in my heart. I've made a lot of sacrifices to live the life of a lady wrestler, but I wouldn't change it for the world.
Wow. You're absolutely right. You can't manufacture passion. You can't pretend that you have it when you don't. And that I guess my wife gets tired of me. We've been married for over 51 years, but I've always said, I want to hear somebody that has passion. I want to see someone working at whatever they're doing because they have passion. It's a fire. It's shut up in their bones. They couldn't stop if they had to because there's an internal combustion that takes place in there. And my, oh my, I can certainly hear and feel that internal combustion coming from you. The grueling life of a wrestler. A lot of travel. What was it like traveling, and how about the injuries?
Well, the traveling was a lot. I enjoyed it because I was a small town, lived in a small town. If I wouldn't have been in the wrestling business, probably wouldn't have, left my small town here in Georgia. So the traveling is a part of it. It wears on you sometimes, but it was a lot of fun. The injuries, not so fun. And I've had a few, and, stuff happens. We're trained to, to wrestle and have a good match, but not to really hurt anyone. And no one wants to hurt someone and make them lose, out on their job and their money and so forth. But sometimes it happens, and there's been accidents where I've been hurt, and I've had to wrestle with a cast on my arm. My first year in the wrestling business, I broke my arm. A girl picked me up to do a airplane spin, but went backwards for a Samoan drop, and my hand was up under her back, and it broke my wrist. And I had bookings, and this was my only job, and so I had to be a little sneaky, didn't tell the promoters to show up with a cast and really try to protect it as much as possible, keep it away, and hope that I didn't re-injure it. And I've had broken ribs. I had to have some stitches in my head. Actually, for a while, 20 years ago, was in a cage match, and one of the only cage matches I've ever been in. And I don't know, they put the cage inside out or what. It was a barbed wire type thing, and I had to go get stitches in my head. So there's been some injuries, but that just goes along with it. I've been pretty lucky. Like I say, I'm in my 50s, and I can still get in there and go and still do it. So nothing that slowed me down so much. Still a little aches and pains, but that just comes with it, I guess.
When you and you said when you're looking at these young ladies that's going through training, you're looking for passion. What are some of the other things? Passion being the main thing. What are some of the other things that you're looking at?
Good attitude, respect. I think somebody that shows respect is teachable, and they're willing to learn. A good attitude goes a long way with me. It's funny. I've had girls that had a lot of athleticism, but bad attitudes and no respect, and they didn't make it very far. But if you've got a great attitude, show me a lot of respect, and you have passion, I feel like the sky's the limit. Those are the three things I look for.
What would you tell? Of course, you just did in a matter of speaking, but a young lady that's out there that's coming out of high school or wherever, and she says, "Yes, I want to do that." What would you tell those young ladies first, before anything else, that's looking to maybe step into that industry?
Well, I'd have to say what Moolah told me. You got to love it because you're going to have to make a lot of sacrifices. It's not for everybody, but I would say if you really love it and you want to be a wrestler more than anything else, then don't wait another second. Go for it. Don't sit back, write out an application, send a photo of yourself, go to our website, send it in. Come out to California for a tryout, and you too could be on the Wow Superhero Show on Access Television. We had two girls from high school that came to us. One, Steffi Slays. She came while she was still in high school. Her mom was giving someone a ride to the tryout, and Steffi rode with her. And Steffi tried out, and she had the most positive attitude, so much enthusiasm. She was just such a pleasant to be around, and now years later, she's doing so good in the wrestling industry. And Faith, the Lioness, she's another one. She was barely 18 years old. Her dad brought her to the WOW Training Center. She ended up almost moving in with me, sleeping on the couch because she didn't drive yet. And instead of her mom and dad bringing her every day, she bunked on my couch and just practically lived at the training school. And now she's on every Saturday night. So I would say if it's your dream and you love it, but know that you got to love it. You got to make sacrifices. And it won't be easy. Nothing great comes easy. And with everything that it is, if you want to do it, don't wait another second. Dreams come true. I never would have believed, when I was 10, sitting on that front row watching wrestling, that I would have had such a journey. It's been such an amazing journey. And I'll say it again and again, I'm very proud of my age. I'm 53, and I can still get out in the ring, and I can still pass the torch to these younger girls. And so don't wait. If you love something, whatever it is, if it's not wrestling, whatever it is, just go for it. You only have one life. Go make the most out of it.
Selina, I wonder how many people, and I just turned 71, so I found out that life goes by pretty quick, a lot quicker than you think it does until you're there. But I wonder how many people that sits back, if they're fortunate enough to reach their 70s, their 80s, their 90s, whatever. I wonder how many people sits back and thinks, if I would have just done this, or if I would have just done that, and I didn't do it because of this, that, those, these, whatever. I wonder how many people has those regrets, and I appreciate what you say. If you want to do it, you do it, and you do it now, because I'm afraid a lot of times the things that we want to reach out for, the things that we want to grasp, if we're not careful, we'll wait too long. We'll think ourselves right out of it, won't we?
You're exactly right. A lot of people will always say, well, I'll wait till the timing is right, or I'll wait till this happens. Well, that never happens. You got to just go make it happen. Where there's a will, there's a way. And I'll tell you that, like you said, the older we get, the more I realize it's not the things in life that you don't do. When you sit back and you regret, it's the things, I said that wrong, it's the things you don't do that you regret. I don't think there's many things that I've done that I regret, but it's the things that you don't take that chance on that you'll end up regretting. So I tell everybody, go take a chance. You know what? Failure, you have to fail a lot of times to be successful. And, don't be afraid of failure. Go out there. It's not how many times that you get knocked down. It's how many times you get back up. And that is what makes you successful. Patience, persistence, and passion. And if you have those three things, you can live your dream. I know that for a fact.
Man, you got me clapping in here. I mean, it just, and I know people hear us say those things, and they just, sometimes they roll their eyes at us or look at us like we have two heads, and perhaps I do nowadays. I don't know, but that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. Let's get up and go do it. That is so tremendous. These, when someone comes for a tryout, what does that consist of?
Well, first we just bring them in. We ask them a series of questions. We want to make sure that they're not looking for just 15 minutes on television, because nobody wants to waste their time, our time, anyone's time, if they're just looking for that one-hit wonder, that 15 minutes. So we get to know their personality a little bit. They have to have some athleticism. We look for that. And we look at what kind of wrestling knowledge they have. I mean, how much they love it, how much they'll make sacrifices to be there at training, because it's not easy. You have to put your body through a whole lot. I mean, it's no different than a football player. He goes out there, he's going to take a lot of bruises, a lot of bumps, a lot of injuries, but if you love it, it pays off. So a lot of times, especially I find with the females, I like for them to work out, about 2 weeks to see if if their body can take it, if they love it enough. And I tell you, most of the time, I have a saying, it's like they drink the Kool-Aid. They love it once they get it. It's like a drug. It's like it gets in your body and it gets in your blood and you don't want to quit. And even though you're black and blue and you're bruised up and those ring ropes, when you hit them, they give you some pretty powerful bruises there. But the ones that come back, I know they're in it. They're in it to win it, and those are the ones I like to keep. So, but we give everybody an opportunity because, it's not always, like I said before, it's not always the one that looks like they'll make it. It's not always the most athletic one. Sometimes it's a surprise of who makes it to the end. It's the one who has, the most desire to make it. And so I give everybody an equal opportunity. So, if you're back there and if you're anywhere and you're listening and you want to send in, go to our website, send in a picture, send in your name and information. We're in Long Beach, California. Get yourself out there and give it a try.
Give us that website again, Selina.
WOWE.com.
And go there because it's an interesting website. You can spend some time there. Trust me. I was there this afternoon.
Oh, yeah.
and I checked it out. I really liked it. I used to be a big wrestling fan, but with the radio and the gigs that I got going on and this and that and everything, I don't get much time to sit down, like I used to years ago and just enjoy it. But I know we're in southern Delaware, so we're not far out of Salisbury, Maryland, just about 12 miles, I guess. A bunch of us used to get together and go down to the Civic Center in Salisbury when wrestling would come there. And then when the pay-per-views would come, everybody would gather at our house, and we'd whoop and holler, and, like typical fanatic wrestling fans. And every now and then I'll catch something on television, and I won't be able to stay long, but I see the fans are just as excited today, if not more, than they were when I was following it all the time. Do you find that to be true?
Oh, yes. I think the fans there's probably more fans today, because there's more people, but the fans are just excited today as they always have been. I'll tell you myself, I get excited. I'm in the wrestling business, and I can go to a show, and I find myself feeling like I'm 10 or 12 years old again. So it is a fun. It's like the circus. I don't think anybody can go to some kind of performance like that and not get involved and get excited about it. I think it's fun watching it on television, but if you've never been to a live event, I tell you, it's something that you got to do. It's a lot of fun.
I can remember those days at the Jaffa Mosque, and even I've lived here for 35 years, even when we go down to Salisbury. But as a youngster, in the early 60s, as a teenager, we would go to the Jaffa Mosque. And you're right, there is absolutely, I mean, just the atmosphere. To us kids, that would always walk to the Jaffa Mosque, just walking to the Jaffa Mosque, knowing that you was going to the wrestling match, was excitement in itself. And then once you entered into the venue and you got into that atmosphere and the lights came on and the whole thing, and we had a ringside Rosie, that's what we called her, ringside Rosie, right there. Every time that the wrestlers would come to the Jaffa Mosque, ringside Rosie, she was as much entertainment as the wrestlers themselves were. But yes,
yeah.
and you're right, because there's just an excitement about it. When you're training these young ladies, I mean, the tremendous, when I watch anything like that, I'm just amazed at the athleticism, and I call it contortion. How people can move their body in so many different ways without it breaking in 6 different pieces. But the moves that they do, jumping from the ropes, slamming off the ropes, rolling over, all these things, there has to be hours and hours and hours of practice going into that, isn't there?
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of training involved, and especially now, the wrestling has evolved so much more. I mean, it used to be where, of course, they would show us how to try to land properly so we don't break our neck or break our back. I mean, just like in anything, I'm sure even in football they teach you how to try to, roll and go with the flow of the movement so you don't get injured. But nowadays, there's so many different moves, and there's so many, the wrestling has elevated so much from, the 70s, it elevated into the 80s, and then in the 90s, and now, to watch it now, some of the moves are just, you have to, in order to keep up with the other wrestling, you have to elevate your moves. And so the girls are in there, they go through a series of drills for hours. I mean, we have classes that last all day long. We start early in the morning, and some of the girls, they stayed for more than one class. And, some of it is just hitting the ropes. Some of it is, diving off the ropes. There's different drills to get you from in and out of the ring, and just over and over, just lots of drills that they practice and train for. And then we have other classes where I guess you would call it sparring, where we have, matches, they're pretty competitive. They're not like they're on the television, but just going through the moves. There's a lot that goes in it behind the scenes as well. So I'm really proud of all the girls. They go in there and they put 150% into it, and it shows on every Saturday night. And if you haven't watched it, please tune in and watch it. I think everybody will be very impressed at the athleticism of all the girls.
It's on Access TV, right?
Access TV. I don't know what cable providers you got, but it's AXS, Access TV. And we're on Saturday nights at 8 o'clock on the East Coast and 5 o'clock on the West Coast. And if you get it, I know Sling carries it, different cable providers. You just have to, Google it and see what cable provider. If it's not on your cable provider, you can get some of these other little streaming apps that can also get it. I know down here in the South, we don't have it on our local cable, but you can get it through Sling, I think, or Hulu, and be able to get the matches. But I'm really excited. I think everybody will enjoy it. There's a lot of pretty girls. They're athletic. You get to know their backstory. You get to know their feuds and the competitiveness. And I think everybody will enjoy it. It's a good 1 hour family entertainment, and it is women, but I tell everybody it's family. It's a family show. You can watch it with your 10-year-old kids, or you can watch it with your 80-year-old grandmother. It's nothing that you can't watch with the whole family.
That's wonderful. Access TV. I looked. We have DirecTV. And I looked when I was there this morning, this afternoon. I think it's on channel 340 on ours. So I know my wife is listening somewhere. She's always in the shadows somewhere. So write that down, my mom, because I saw it today, and I know I'll forget, but it's on DirecTV channel 340. So write that down, and then when I get there, I'll be able to look at it and see.
Yeah, watch it and let us know what you think about it.
I will. I promise I will. And the website is WOWE.
Correct. WOWE.com and Access Television. Look us up. Let us know what you like. Let us know what you'd like to see more of. If you don't like something, let us know. We try to make the fans happy. I always tell everybody, hey, if it wasn't for the fans watching, what would we be doing? So let us know what you like, what you dislike, what you'd like to see in the future. We try to make everybody happy, and we just hope you enjoy it. And I appreciate everybody for tuning in, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to ramble here on your show. It made me feel good, and I can always talk about wrestling. It's one of my favorite things. It's become my life. It's not just my job. It's who I am. So I really appreciate you doing that and giving me the time to talk about all the girls.
Selina, I thank you so very, very much for taking the time, because I know that you are a very busy lady. You've got my phone number. Please call me, stay in touch, and we'd love to have you back again sometime later on. Would that be all right?
That would be awesome. You just call and let me know when you want me, and I'll ramble on some more. Anytime you want me, I'll be there.
It's been an honor and a privilege to have you. I thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends, Romans, and countrymen, it's so good that we had Selina Majors, or you may have known her as Bambi, spend some time with us tonight. Thank you so very, very much, Selina. God bless you, and let's stay in touch.
Sounds good. God bless you. Thank you so much. Have a blessed night.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, there you had it. Man, that lady is excitable. I'm trying to look at this here. Okay, anyhow, that was exciting. I got a kick out of that. The things that she was saying, and it's not just the things that she was saying. A lot of people say a lot of things, but it was with the passion that she was saying it. That's what is most exciting. I like to listen to people like that. Of course, I've told you that, I don't know, 100 times or more. But anyhow, let me catch my breath. And we haven't played this for quite some time, but this is one of my favorite. All right. Push your chairs back. All right. Travis is cleaning things out here, getting this, that. Okay, there they go. All right. Charlie, I'm giving you full control over this thing. You take it, hit it. I've got to catch my breath.
self-made woman. Yeah, you should know I got nothing for free. Oh, in this life, none of us can know what's coming. What's going on? So if you wanna be with me, baby, can you see? You gotta make room for a self-made woman like me. Oh, said you gotta make room for a self-made woman like me. Hey, yeah. Said you gotta make room for a self-made woman like me.
All right, it's Friday night at the Funny Farm. Whoop, 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 whoop. Stop it, Espenlaub. You'll crack yourself up. Then you'll hurt yourself. Then what do? You fall out of your chair. Hey, listen, it's Friday night at the Funny Farm, and you are listening to the George Espenlaub Show, coming to you live in a place called Our World. That's right, this is Our World, and we invite you to come into it. Once you come in, and if you choose to leave, which some do, some don't, if you choose to leave, when you go back out into the real world, your family and friends will instantly realize that something is different about you. That's why a lot of people that come, they just stay here. They don't go back to their world because something happened to them, and it's so obvious. Now, in other cases, some people have come and they have left immediately after the show, and it took a little while, but as soon as you stick your foot in the water, and then your ankle, and then it goes up. As soon as you experiment with this place, when you leave, let me see who we got here. Oh, my. Yes.
Is this Pops?
Oh, my. Wait a minute. What do we got going on here?
Is this Pops? I want to talk to Pops.
All right, but wait a minute. I got to get you through the system here.
Well, you don't have to.
Yes,
It's Gertie.
I know it's Gertie, but you're not going through the system. You're coming through the phone line, but you're not coming through the system.
Popsy,
There you are.
I didn't know that you wanted me to go through the system.
Yes.
I just called to tell you the wonderful news.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know who this is on the other end, it is Gertrude Duflicki. Let me set the stage for you, because Gertrude Duflicki has been on the Funny Farm for a whole lot of years. In fact, she has her own farm, and she raises pigs, and she sends them to market, and she does all those things that people that raise pigs do. Gertrude has not always been on the, what should I say, the pleasant side.
Pops, I appreciate you. Be careful. I'm in a good mood. And I don't want you to ruin
I'm
it.
trying to set the stage for the listeners now. She has not always.
No, but you're worrying me, and I'm going to have to get nasty.
She is not. She has not always been on the pleasant side, and we'll let it go at that for now. If you want to read more about Gertrude, go to the Espenblog, TheEspenblog.com, theespenblog.com, and you'll find Gertrude in there. Gertrude Duflicki is her name. But anyhow, here's what happened. The other night, during the show, I forget who we was having on, or was featuring some music, but as I looked out the window of the sound room into the radio, the big radio studio floor where the people gather, I saw Gertrude Duflicki making her way through the crowd, and she didn't look any too happy.
Oh, that was just such a hard night.
Well, you tell
My
us.
heart
You
was
tell
so
us.
heavy.
You tell us about that night, Gertrude.
Oh, my poor little piglets. My greased piglets got out. I was taking them to the fair. And somehow the little buggers, one got out, went between my both legs. And every one of the rest of them followed. Oh, it was so hard on my heart. 12 little piglets. And I couldn't find them and round them up. So I was going out looking. I was trying to find Travis so Travis could help me and see if he could get some of the other friends at the funny farm to help me. So, thank God Pops got Travis on the phone and took his tractor and scooped them up a few at a time, and they're all safe. They all made it back in time to get to the fair. And we were able to make those little boys and girls so happy.
Gertrude.
And I am so thankful to Travis and for everybody that tried to catch him and throw dirt on him so they could get a hold of him easier.
Gertrude, you never did tell me, or if you did tell me, I don't remember. Why did you grease them little piglets up in the first place if you were trying to catch them and take them to the fair?
I had them all greased up in cod pops. We were loading them in the truck.
Ah.
So that when we got there, all we had to do was let the gate down and charge. They'd go after them and the kids would chase them. Pops, do you know anything about grease pigs?
Not
Apparently you don't.
Not a whole lot, Gertrude. No, I don't.
That's what I thought. But nonetheless, Pops, if you could have just seen them little smiles on them kiddos, chasing them piggers around. Oh, did my heart so good.
So if they caught a piglet,
I almost forgot that I was mean.
almost, but not quite, right?
Right.
So if one of the kids caught one of them greasy piglets, did they get to keep the piglet?
Oh, no.
No?
Nobody gets.
Oh, you wasn't going to be that nice, right?
No, nobody messes with Gertie's pigs. They get a prize.
Oh,
but it isn't one of my little porkers.
So you wasn't giving.
I take my porkers right back to the farm.
I see. So you drew the line, right?
Yes.
Well,
When it comes to my porkers.
You were only nice to a certain extent.
Well, to be honest, Pops, do you know me to be any different than that? I just can't be whole nice.
I got you.
I'm like Ivory Soap, 99 and 100% pure, but I just can't get that other
1%.
100.
Yeah, I got you.
I can't go there, Pops.
Well, I'm sure that people that were listening on Monday night when this all went down, I'm sure that they're going to be relieved as they, if they're listening.
Well, I want to thank everyone who was out there praying for me and my piggies. Thank you.
I understand, Gertrude, and this might set you back a little bit, but I understand because I heard it right from Travis himself that Harvey even caught one of those piglets and gently put it in the scooper. And you just don't like Harvey.
That old bag of wind. I'm sure he didn't gently put my piglet. That's probably why some of them were bruised and battered from being put in the scooper and bounced around.
No.
So don't tell me Harvey was the gentleman that he isn't.
I'm just telling you what Travis told me. But
But
nonetheless,
I love Travis for what Travis did for me, but nobody going to pull over the wool over Gertie's eyes about Harvey. He's done too much for me. Yeah, for me to think that there is any good in Harvey.
now, Gertrude, ladies and gentlemen, we have on the phone line Gertrude Duflicki, who lives right here at the Funny Farm. She's been here for a number of years. And if you want to know more about her, just go to the Espenlaub, TheEsp.
You check me out. Don't believe everything that you read,
No, but
but you can believe most of it.
there's some pictures on there of Gertrude Duflicki. So you look her up on the Espenlaub. .com, the Espenblog.com. Gertrude is quite the character, I'm telling you. But Gertrude, before I let you go, man, you were right on the ball tonight calling in, weren't you? Did you listen to the
Well, I know there was a couple people out there in Funny Farm land that wanted to know what happened to the piggies. And I'm so grateful that I wanted everybody, any of them that prayed for my piggers, to let them know that their prayers were answered, my piggers were fine.
Well,
So,
I'm so glad that your pickers were fine. but
me
listen,
too, Pop, me too.
I am telling you the truth. Travis told me, and you know Travis don't tell no tales. You know Travis, he told me that Harvey caught one of those little piglets and also gently put it in the scoop. So you take that for what it's worth, but there's even, and I have to chuckle at this, there's even maybe just a tiny little bit of good even in Harvey.
Well, if it is buried deep. That's all I can say, Pop.
Oh, all right, Gertrude. Listen, I've got a very special announcement to make, so I'm going to have to let you go. And we're going to
Don't worry, I just wanted Peach to know that all is good with Gertie tonight.
and we're going to put an end to this thing, a caboose on this train, and I'm going to make an announcement on the way out. So thank you, Gertrude. Thank you for calling in. I'm so glad your piggies are well.
All right. You are quite welcome, Pop Sam. We'll see you the next time around.
All righty, Gertrude. See you later.
Bye-bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Gertrude Duflicki. She pops on here every now and then. Man, she'll light a fire underneath you. Hey, let me tell you something. I've been on the radio since, involved in radio since 1976. That's a long, long time. And during that period of time, I think my wife has been on, we did one show, we did a tribute show for her, and then she was on a ladies' afternoon at the farm a couple months ago. That's the only two times that she's ever been on, and I have always wanted her to come on more than those two times. Last night she surprised me. She blew me away, and my time is quickly running out. She blew me away, and she said, you know what? I would like to go on the radio and do a show. I said, wow. I mean, I was flabbergasted, speechless, and all those other things. I would really like to do a show. I said, you got it. You got it. So this morning I said, now remember, don't you forget that you said you wanted to do a radio show. I have wanted her to get behind the mic with me for a long, 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 long time. So we're making this public announcement because I believe that if you commit yourself out there, you're backed up against the wall. You got to do it, Jack. I mean, that's all there is to it. So, my mom, My mom is going to be behind the mic soon and very soon. And I'm looking forward to that. Listen, the old gal, she can get in front of a camera on FaceTime and run her business. Well, she can get behind a microphone where nobody can see you. And I know she can do it. And she'll do a superb job. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends, Romans, and countrymen, thank you for joining me tonight. Thank you, Selina Majors, for being with us. Oh, my. What a wonderful show. She just hit a button inside of me tonight with that enthusiasm and that passion. Monday night, we will be having a gospel group on here. We'll be playing their music and chatting with them. But we're going to be coming on at 10 o'clock p.m. Monday night to make it more convenient for them. So until then, this is George Espenlaub and all the gang here at the Funny Farm, and there's a lot of moving parts behind this production. I thank you for tuning in and being with us tonight. And if it's nighttime where you're at, have a good night. If it's daytime, have a great day. Until I see you again, or you hear from me again, Monday night, 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. This is George Espenlaub saying, may God keep you right in the center of his hand. Good night, everybody.